All right, hello CAD 101. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. And yeah, let's talk about the next. So we're actually going to do a project this time instead of just a small part. We're actually going to do example 12, which is kind of a longer, slightly longer term part. So you're going to have 2 weeks to complete example 12. And I'm going to go over a couple of details that have been a little bit tricky in the past for students to figure out. So I'll go over those. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out. All right, so the first thing you're gonna notice is that there's some color and there's some textures in here. So we're gonna go over the hatch command in AutoCAD. It's pretty easy, so don't be intimidated. So I'm just going to open AutoCAD here. All right, so this is, we got some basic geometry, just some basic shapes. And then right here, kind of up towards the top left, we're going to have a button that if we hover over it, it's going to say hatch. It kind of looks like a square with some diagonal lines through it. So when we click that, our whole menu is actually going to change a little bit. So we're going to have some different things to choose from. The first thing you'll notice is or maybe not the first thing, but one of the things you should notice are the patterns up here. So we can cycle through with the up and down arrow, a lot of different patterns. So there's color patterns, there's texture patterns. This is the one you're going to be using, the hex pattern for the grip. You're going to be using that. So when we click in here, and we select that pattern, once we go over to a space, like a confined area or geometry, it's going to select that closed in area. And then if you click in that area, it's going to release that hatch pattern. There's a couple things you can do. You can change the scale of the hatch pattern. So if we wanted to double it in size, because the hatch command is still open, we can still edit that. We can also edit the angle. So if we wanted to change that to 45, then our hatch changes angle. You could mess with the transparency. Let's see, what else could we do with that? That's about it that I can think of right now that's important. And then once we exit that command, then it's in there. So now if we went back in here to the hatch command and went to hex again and put that hex somewhere else, we can then adjust that independently of our first hatch. So let's see, let's go back to 0 on that, and we'll go to 3, and you're going to see that this pattern now changes independently of our first pattern, which is cool. Additionally, if you click a pattern, it brings you back into the original hatch command. So you can adjust your hatch patterns even once they're placed. You can adjust them in place. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, we can go to the top. We can you can do solid fills, like that. Let's see here. So in the solid command, this is where you're going to actually adjust the color. So you can, you could make this a solid red infill. And let's see, you can also adjust the color. So let me just show you that again. So I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to go back to the hatch pattern. We've got solid selected here instead of, so we got solid gradient pattern. We're in the solid command. You could switch to the gradient command as well. We'll do that in a second. But this one, we're going to select, a yellow color, kind of like the drill, and then we can insert it into certain areas. The gradients command you can also use, which is has some other features to adjust. So we go to gradients, and now you can select some different types of gradient patterns. And then you can, of course, select here the colors of your gradient. So yeah, I'm going to let you guys kind of play around with that on the drill. And if we go back to the drill drawing, you're going to now see we've got a gradient here going from left to right, or right to left, however you want to look at it. So from a lighter yellow to a darker yellow. The exact color doesn't really matter, just as long as there's a bit of a gradient. We've got some solid black infills in our stuff up here, different colors of gray down here, and then we've also got another like pretty mild gradient pattern on this bigger area here. The one spot that I will talk about that seems to get students tripped up on is this. So let's go to this guy. Okay, so when you're drawing the drill chuck, I'm just gonna describe what you're gonna wanna pay attention to. So as you can see, these centers of these circles are dimensioned pretty accurately. So they're 15 or 0.15 inches between each other. So these would start their lives as circles, just like that. And then you're going to notice that we've got 5 degrees between this line and the bottom line of your slot right there. So so this line is going to be parallel to your center line. So you could even say that it's 5 degrees between your center line, between the centers of your circle. So if we drew a line that's a horrible line up the center of the circle right there, that's going to be 5 degrees between there. So you would want to start, you could do some angled construction lines starting at your center point on your circle, angle them 5 degrees off of your main 0 line, and then you could do another 5 degrees or 10 degrees from here, go in this direction. So you can start your construction lines at these center points. That'll give you some help doing that. And you're going to notice that these center points, they're not in line with each other. So this is where center marks come in handy. So as you'll notice, these center marks aren't lining up exactly when we go down. So, but we're given this one dimension here. So that's gonna drive the length of these slots is this dimension, not the alignment of these here. So so pay attention to that. And that should get you pretty much what you need to for a little bit. The drill bits, don't worry about doing the drill bit. I'll come back with another video to talk about the drill bit, because the instructions on the drill bit, we're not going to follow those instructions. So, so give this a shot, and we'll see where you guys end up. And I'll make some new videos as needed, and I'll send those out as people need those. So, so yeah, let me know. Should be fun, and we'll talk to you soon.